Hi, so today what we are trying to do is compare two motorcycles from parallel universes made by the same company with the same ethos. Why we feel it's important is because they are similarly priced, which means there is a slight amount of debate when we are choosing one over the other. For that, we asked our good friend Srinivas to write down from Dehradun and drop in because he has both of them. The motorcycles that we're going to debate today upon is the Interceptor versus the new Himalayan. Shri, if you're supposed to go around the world on a motorcycle, which one will that be?
I will take the Interceptor any day because I'm more comfortable with that. I more gravitate towards the classic motorcycles. That is my go-to. Although the Himalayan has been targeted towards being an adventure motorcycle, the Interceptor just fuels and fulfills my soul. And the way I maintain and the way I care about it speaks volumes that why I'm so passionate about that particular motorcycle. For me, that's the one that I will choose.
So what you're saying is when you're trying to go around the world, it doesn't matter, the spec sheet of the motorcycle doesn't matter, and the perception that this one can go anywhere versus this one is more of a road a road bike. It doesn't matter.
It does not to me. Because if I am riding on an Interceptor, it just makes me smile all day long.
But on the Himalayan, it's like work.
So, I bought the Himalayan for a very different purpose. Like I wanted to do extreme off-road as well, do some water crossings also. However, if I'm asked to do the same thing on the Interceptor, which I have, I'm not that comfortable in doing that. But I would still choose an Interceptor going across the country and do it because I just feel great on that motorcycle. Yes, this is a very controversial take because I have both the motorcycles. One I love more than the other. It will always be the case. So this is, if I want to go to Ladakh on Interceptor, I would. But I have Himalayan also. Yes, it's a little difficult thing for me to not take the Interceptor.
Let's look at where the Himalayan wins. What do you think is working for that motorcycle?
It's off-road ability.
But how many people are actually riding it off-road anyway?
I think everybody is riding that motorcycle. Because the only thing that people really care about on that motorcycle is that they feel that it's top heavy. Which I don't think it does. An Interceptor is heavier than that any day. But still, it's not the weight that I chose the motorcycle for. I wanted the motorcycle because it looks and it speaks volumes to me. And it just oozes class. You know that twin silencer on that motorcycle, the way it thumps, the way it can maintain speeds up to 150 with ease.
Oh, it can.
Yes.
But it can't brake when it's at
yes, exactly. It can't. It doesn't. It does not. It does not. So, makes me smile all across the mile. That rhymed. Sorry. But yes, Interceptor versus Himalayan, I will take Interceptor any day. I don't care about the fuel efficiency. I don't care about the ground clearance. I just would want that motorcycle.
I also feel that motorcycle has more ways in which you can make it a personal motorcycle. Like it can say that this is Srinivas's motorcycle versus this is Siddharth's motorcycle. In terms of two Interceptors, if they are standing side by side, you can say, okay, Srinivas likes a particular style and that's his, and this is Siddharth and this is his motorcycle. Whereas in a Himalayan, there are not too many ways to really personalize that motorcycle.
Yes, I feel the same way. Yes. Because yes, there are a lot of, because the Interceptor has been in the market for a longer duration than the Himalayan. However, it started with Himalayan 411. So there should be considerable amount of accessories for the 411 as opposed to the Interceptor. However, if you are adding accessories on the bike, this one has far more options than the other one.
Yes.
So it, like, you know, there's a saying in the market that it's a blank canvas. like the Interceptor, you can make it, or the GT 650 for that matter. You can really go to great lengths to personalize it according to your taste and wishes. And you are rightly saying in that your Interceptor would look much different than mine. Yes, I'm more of a minimal person. Yes, I want the things on my Interceptor, but I don't want them to attract that much attention.
Yeah.
So, like for example, the minutest example, the indicators on my Interceptor are tiny. They'll only be visible to you when it's on. Otherwise, on the OEM one, the indicators are huge and chunky. Yes, it is old school motorcycle. I wanted a little hint of modernization on my Interceptor as well. Whereas in the Himalayan, there aren't many options right now.
Yes.
There's just one thing that you can do, it is install Rally Tower on it. Rally Tower is like the two LED headlights on the bike stacked vertically. Kind of makes it look like a pro version of a KTM motorcycle.
Okay.
And the windscreen, the tall windscreen that you can have.
No, that's what I'm saying. The accessories there are more practical, and they've been built from a practical bent of mind, whereas the Interceptor accessories are practical, but there is also a great opportunity for somebody to choose on an aesthetic point of view.
Right.
Not everything needs to be completely and carry 500 liters of luggage on it.
Right.
Okay, so clearly you're an Interceptor guy. So hence, but what are the days when you take out a Himalayan?
When it's raining exceptionally hard, because I do not want my Interceptor to get wet in any condition.
Okay.
So one more thing very interesting about the Interceptor is everything is very easily accessible on that motorcycle. I'll give you a very small example. Like it's greatly easy to just take the air filter out, clean it and put it back together. Whereas on the Himalayan, you have to take the tank out, then take some screws out, and then you can access the air filter, or even the spark plug, you have to go further down once you take the air box out. So I know why they have made it, because they want less chances of water seeping in, so that you can access the bike even when it is submerged. But it's a motorcycle, not a submarine. Why would you take an Interceptor in cross waters in the first place? So that's why it's very easy to do things on Interceptor as opposed to Himalayan.
That
also
technically makes it more adventure friendly than a Himalayan, even though Himalayan is supposed to give you that perception.
However, the Himalayan is a newer motorcycle as compared to Interceptor. There'll still be things on it available a couple of years down the line. But like for example, you can add things on Interceptor. In Himalayan, very few options would be there to add luggage options, like Kriega is there, like Dirt Sack is there. Moscow Motor doesn't make anything for Himalayan.
They don't?
No, they don't. Not as of now. They might have some universal solutions for it, but not right now.
Their luggage is as expensive as a new Himalayan anyway.
Yes, of course. True. But yeah, and of course, people generally, I haven't seen any adventure motorcycle with leather products on it. And like you had said earlier, leather products last much more longer than traditional material on their accessories. I don't know why is that.
No, but if you look at the really old school guys on their old Africa twins and everybody who've been crossing across the globe, you will find more natural substances on there, like stuff made from leather is more natural versus the plastic with which the bags are made today. If you have to cross the globe, you should have something that won't tear halfway across the road. As in you've put in too much stuff, the stitchings come off, those things don't happen in leather, at least well-made ones.
Right.
But again, now when I'm coming back to the debate of which is a better motorcycle, of course you have your inclination towards the Interceptor. But what are the things that work for the Himalayan? Or if I have to put it in a different way, why did you buy it in the first place?
So yes, excellent question. I've done the Spiti circuit on my Interceptor. For me, the thrill of taking my twin cylinder motorcycle to those terrains is now over. Like I will not do that again on Interceptor. But I wanted to do Ladakh. I wanted to take my motorcycle off in great depths to do off-roading, which is now a latest trend these days. Everybody's doing, oh, I want to do some trail rides. But there's a long way to go for motorcyclists, Indian motorcyclists at least I would say, that they would learn how to go off-road. So that's why I bought the Himalayan, because I too wanted to do it, but not on my Interceptor.
But wouldn't it be cheaper if you could just buy 2 sets of tires and when you're going off-road you just swap the tires, man?
No, it's not just about the tires when it comes to me, and specifically I'm doing off-road on my Interceptor. It's just way too pretty to drop. I've done it, I've dropped it. However, I'm not a fan of doing that again on this particular motorcycle. It's just way too much valuable for me. It's just, I'm way too much passionate about that motorcycle. There's a lot more stories to tell on this one as opposed to the Himalayan one. Yes, I'm just started, I'll do it.
So it does look like you'll possibly sell your Himalayan very, very soon.
Yes.
Because the so-called adventure. So I'll tell you my thing is irrespective of what place I'm riding, whether it's difficult mountains or the deserts or anything, I would only take old school motorcycles, because when you get to your location or when you're dead tired, even across the whole ride, you still want to look at your motorcycle and smile.
The Interceptor does that with me.
Right?
Yes.
And and the so-called cost of convenience is something that you pay because the motorcycle is supposed to speak to you, rather than become this. It's not a tool. While it's a machine, it's not just a machine. It's a thing that has to connect to the soul, and then you gotta ride it. If it doesn't make you smile, but it's allowing you 10 mm more ground clearance, it's not worth it.
Okay, I get where you're coming from, that the ground clearance on Himalayan is much higher than that of Interceptor. Yes, but there are a few things that work very well on Himalayan. The number one thing, if I have to pick off the top of my head, the suspensions. The front and the rear, they just work in great harmony. The front one is much greater than the entire Royal Enfield lineup, which comes from the stock, by the way. It's not even adjustable, still it is much better and at par with KTM, I would also say. On the Interceptor, the suspensions, the rear one is much better than the latest one, but the front one is just not that good.
But you can change it on an Interceptor much easier.
If you have the budget for it, yes, definitely you can do it. But Himalayan off the top, just if you don't want to customize anything, Himalayan.
Okay, but if you want a more classic, a more
definitely
happier motorcycle,
much more sexy motorcycle, then go for that one, because that motorcycle oozes class, in my opinion. I think it is the best looking motorcycle.
Oh, super. So we will now bring this to a conclusion. Give me 3 reasons why you would get an Interceptor.
Oh, the looks of it, you can customize it the way you want it, and the power of it. Like all day long you can hold 140, 150. No stress to the engine. And you can access the bike, you can do a lot of things on the bike just by yourself. You don't have to take it to the mechanic and move, kuch kholega, you don't have to do any of that. You can do a lot of things on yourself on that bike. On the Himalayan.
So that's technically 4 reasons you gave me, but that's okay. Give me 3 reasons for the Himalayan.
Why you should get it?
Yeah.
The better suspension quality, the ground clearance, and it's yeah. I mean,
okay, if you care about suspension, get the Himalayan. If you care about motorcycles and living the life of motorcycles,
yes,
the Interceptor 650 is possibly the way to go.